Get Jeff and Jeremy on demand on the KZOZ app or online at KZOZ.com on 93.3 KZOZ all day.
Wake up, Jeff and Jeremy. It's time to go to work.
I have to applaud this woman in Dallas. Her husband's a Cowboys fan. She's been watching football with him for years, or she's in the room. She's in the house. My wife won't even sit in the room with me. She leaves the house. She goes downstairs. She goes somewhere. She can't appreciate my enthusiasm for football and my yelling and screaming and swearing. And this woman in Dallas has done has taken a situation that she could have spun negative and go, why do you have to get so angry? Or why do you have to swear? Or why do you have to get so involved? You know they can't hear you. That's my favorite thing my wife says. You know they can't hear you, right? And
they can hear.
She made a game.
I'm a big believer that they can hear.
She made a game of it.
Because if I am so upset that I'm vocally screaming at the TV in my living room, that I will likely go to Twitter, and then that's where people can hear me.
Oh, you take it to the next level. You're not just yelling at the TV.
If I'm mad enough,
you're a social media screamer.
It's the filter, right? Like if I'm yelling in the living room, the next step is Twitter.
Oh my God. I follow a couple of people that do this kind of thing. It's on Facebook, not Twitter. I'm sure Twitter's even better for this. I can't think of his name. I got to think of his name. But anyways, take a listen to what this gal did and did.
Third and 14. What are we doing?
I've been watching football games with him for 7 years now, and he's been reacting the same way for 7 years. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it would be fun to show everybody, the silly things that he does during games.
So what she did
I know exactly what he is talking about on 3rd and 14. What is he doing? I know exactly what the Dallas Cowboys did. They ran a friggin' draw. Yeah. How many times in the NFL on 3rd and long do you run the friggin' draw? It's like, God, how do these guys get jobs as coaches? I have no idea.
So she made a bingo board. And apparently she's got a TikTok account and she tries to get people to follow her. So she made a bingo board, and every time he does a certain thing, she crosses off a square to see if she can, beat herself at bingo, I guess.
We had talked about it before and just how predictable I am. And so we kind of thought it'd be a funny idea if we pieced it together just to see how well she actually knew me.
So this guy, he's a Seahawks fan. And here he is. Bye-bye, Carol and staff. Nice having you around. Thanks for for one Super Bowl and the effing in the second. But it's time for you and your staff to head down the road. Oh, please take Adam with you. Bye-bye. That was just on Pete Carroll's firing or whatever. Agreed upon departure. Here he is talking. He lives in Eastern Washington, where Gonzaga plays basketball. He's a Zags fan as well. Zags, you guys look like S again on offense. The 3-point shooting from this team is pathetic.
You hear me?
Is he following you on Twitter or I'm sorry, X? Let's see. Oh, no, he's also very politically motivated on here as well. Oh, here's worst tackling D in football. New coaches, please. This was on the last game of the Seahawks. Let's see. And it goes on and on and on. It's really one of the most entertaining people I follow because all he does is make fun of politicians and of course, his favorite teams. And I can't even get my wife to be in the room. What does your wife do when you watch games?
I've learned to dial it back.
Because of the kids?
No, I just think I think as I get older, I realize it's just a sport.
Well, do you remember your birthday falling on a playoff game or that weekend, and you celebrated your birthday? And
that was great.
Yeah,
my 40th birthday.
But do you remember the screaming and the yelling in the backyard? And I remember your wife going, "You guys need to keep it down. We have neighbors."
Yeah, the neighbors moved in that weekend, and they're like, "Is this what we're in store for?"
Yes. No, it wasn't. But
yeah, I remember because Cam Chancellor changed the rules in football. You can't jump over the line when you block a
I think I didn't buy the jersey, but if I was ever close to buying or would have bought a jersey, it would have been Cam Chancellor's jersey. And it was after that play.
See, I think you could still wear Cam Chancellor's jersey and still be like,
what number was he?
The jersey?
31. 31? Oh.
Yeah, I have the cheap version of the jersey. I have the T-shirt, but I have the puke green T-shirt.
Yes,
for Cam Chancellor. I call it the jersey because
shirt
it's just
jersey.
a T-shirt. Yeah. It's for poor people that can't afford the actual full-on jersey. But yeah, you could get the Cam Chancellor jersey and still be like, that I think that's real Seahawk fan status, and you don't ever have to worry about him getting traded or breaking your heart because he's retired, because he played with such fire that he only had a very short career because he just put his body on the line on every play.
Yeah, I think I get too invested in the games. And now it's not just the Seahawks, because of fantasy football, it's all my players. And so I've started watching football games with my friend because he's also a guy that enjoys football, unlike my wife, and he has a fantasy team. And he's told me, he's like, "Hey, if you don't calm down, you're going to have to go downstairs or leave, because this is."
Wow, you're too into it. I'm gonna sound like your wife on this.
He's a calmer person.
You have no.
I know.
Bearing in the
I know, but I can still
what,
be mad because something doesn't happen that should happen.
If somebody
drops a ball
that's
right in their hands. I mean, especially when it comes to fantasy football, and it literally means that's the problem. Is Monday nights I'm always at home. Sundays I may watch the game with him, but Monday night it's late. We have dinner. I turn the game on. She goes off and does other things, and I'm screaming and yelling, and then she's like, "Come on, the neighbors." I'm like, screw the neighbors. I don't care about the neighbors. The neighbors know what's going on. They're going to think you're killing me.
Could you imagine what it's like for East Coast people? Because they're 3 hours ahead of us. So while the Monday night game wraps around 8:30, on the East Coast.
Oh, if it's a West Coast game?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It always ends at 11:30 because it starts. True. It starts at 8:15.
Yeah,
instead of 5:15.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
I saw the stupidest headline over the weekend. And this must be the plight of the celebrity. I have no idea. Listen to this headline. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are, capitalized, A-R-E, completely capitalized, planning to get engaged this summer despite reports claiming a proposal isn't on the cards after the couple held off over the holidays out of fear it would seem like rushed insanity. So, how this breaks down, because I had to read the article because I was like, what the hell? What do you mean they're planning?
Who is this?
Apparently,
Entertainment?
He wanted to, and I had to look up the source too, and it was Page 6, Jeremy.
Oh, that's a Hollywood celebrity thing, I think. Yeah, okay. I've heard of that.
Or The Messenger. The Messenger. What's The Messenger?
Oh, I don't know what that is. No credibility
is the
there.
source,
Page 6, yes. Messenger, no. Hollywood Reporter, yes. Messenger, I don't know.
It's time to break the news. The Messenger Entertainment. So whatever. That's what their tagline is. Apparently he was planning on proposing to her on her 34th birthday, which was on December 13th, but he didn't do it because he thought that everybody would be judgmental over the fact that they kind of they just met, they just started dating. It was at the beginning of the season, right? So it was like, 17 weeks ago, 18 weeks ago. At that point, it was 15 weeks. So they held off, and now, according to sources and reports, they're planning on getting engaged over the summer. How stupid is it to plan to get engaged? Like, there is no There's no romance in that.
Yeah,
right?
no, zero. It's got to be a surprise, right? I mean,
like
I surprised my wife, and you surprised your wife, I'm sure. I surprised my wife so much because we'd been together for so long, over 10 years when I proposed to her. But we met in high school and went to college. That when she was at work and we were going on this family cruise, a couple of the girls in the office that worked with her was like, "Hey, he's going to propose to you." She's like, "No,
what does he
not.
have to do? Check her calendar, check his calendar, see when training camp starts, and then make the decision then." So he's like, "Okay, let's see. June's a good month for me. Are you free on the 13th of June? It's a Thursday."
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe he's just stalling.
No
Maybe
reason. No reason.
Maybe he's stalling because he's got an issue with how many boyfriends she's had in the past.
Well, he's had a lot of girlfriends too. So
has he though? But I mean, not as public as Taylor Swift. Which one would you have a problem with the most that she dated? I don't know all these guys, by the way. Calvin Harris, I'm not really sure I know who that is. Jake Gyllenhaal, I know who that is. He played that cowboy movie. That one would bother me a little. Taylor Lautner, he's the vampire, right? John Mayer, that guy's been around the planet a few times. Now, Joe Jonas doesn't bother me. He's like a religious kid, right? Weren't they like a real religious family? They're sometimes the biggest troublemakers.
I don't know. I would have a problem with any of them. I mean, I told you a story about my friend who dated a girl that Kevin Costner dated, and like how it was like a huge feather in his cap.
Kevin Costner's
right?
cool, man. These guys aren't cool.
That's what I'm saying. It's like wow, man! I scored a girl that dated Kevin Costner.
Yeah, but wouldn't you always be putting yourself
maybe Travis Kelce's a big John Mayer fan, and he's like, man, I can't believe I scored the girl that
he meets John Mayer backstage one day, and John's like, "Hey, tapping it now, huh? That was pretty good." That would bother me.
I'm sorry. Not all people are like Ray J, okay? They're not going to remind you about it.
I hit it first.
It's Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
So last week I saw a lot on the news about this, and I kind of brushed it off. And then I saw this mom on TikTok this morning talking about her daughter being teased for not having the Stanley Cup. This is like the Stanley thermos that my grandpa used to take in his 18-wheeler with him.
But it's not. It's
no.
Like
It's just it's like all my other coffee cups I have. But it's
like
pink, right? For girls. Girls have.
Yeah, it's like this.
This is a cup that we got our daughter for Christmas. This is not a Stanley. This is a $9.98 Walmart cup that she said she thought was cute. She is 9 years old. On the second day back to school after Christmas break, she comes home. She's just upset. Girls in her grade, she said 10 of them all got Stanleys for Christmas. And they made sure to let her know that this is not a real Stanley, that this is fake and it's not as cool.
See, when I was a kid, we would tease people for being poor. It's a terrible thing. This is the same thing, right?
This is the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're poor. You're on welfare. I mean, that was what you said to kids. I didn't say it. I really swear I didn't say it. But I had friends that said it. I had mean friends.
Heard it. You'd hear it. You'd hear it.
You're poor. You're poor. You're on
playground.
welfare. Yeah. And it was just like, and now apparently it's gone to, if you don't have the Stanley pink cup or whatever color it is, when did Stanley become this hip thing for young kids to have? And when do kids start drinking coffee at 9 years old?
They're not drinking coffee. They drink water out of it. It's a thermos that they drink water. Now, with the way...
This is because of all this B-crap government officials not letting kids drink out of water bottles anymore or drink out of the freaking fountain like we did, and they make them bring their own little device so we can eliminate trash, like farmers market, or not farmers market, the concerts in the plaza. Bring your own, what are they called, Jeff?
Reusable drinking container.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it was a hydro flask a couple of years ago. Like, everybody had a hydro flask. And I remember I looked at the price of a hydro flask. I was like, what's so great about the hydro flask? Why has everybody got it? And it was like way more than just another water bottle that also did the same thing. I was like, oh, well, that's stupid.
Oh, this is that damn thing with the weird little logo on it. What? Yeah.
So, yeah,
Is that a face?
So my grandfather had a Stanley thermos, and I overheard my wife talking to my mother-in-law at Christmas time saying she wants a Stanley cup, and I'm like, what? And she's like, I asked her when she got off the phone, I'm like, our daughter wants a Stanley cup? And at first I thought she was talking about what the people win in the NHL when their team wins the championship. Then I was like, oh wait, that's not what they're talking about.
I know it's something different.
Then I remembered my grandpa had a Stanley thermos, and I was like, she wants my grandpa's thermos? But apparently the Stanley company has great research and development people, and they designed a cup that is popular for kids and for adults, and people go nuts for them. There's a big fight in a Target because they released a limited edition Valentine's Day version of it, and people were waiting outside of a Target, and they all ran in and tried to get their cups, and they were stampeding each other and yanking them away from each other. It was a big to-do. I can't believe it. Because it literally is just a water bottle. That's all it is, or a coffee cup. But when I was a kid, it was Pro Wings.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. For me, it was Jordans. If you didn't have Jordans, you were poor.
Right,
and you were trash.
exactly.
You were poor,
or
trash.
Some kind of Nike Airs.
You better not even walk down this hallway because this is where the popular kids with their Jordans walk.
Yeah, and then Shaq came out with a shoe, but I think Shaq's shoe was sold at like Walmart or something like that. I might be wrong about that.
So my question is,
people were like, "Oh, now that's an outlet for us people that can't afford $120 shoes to go get some a high name player's shoe at Walmart for $20." And then but then you were made fun of because everybody knew that Shaq was sold at Walmart. What's funny is I had a pair of Magics before pre HIV.
Yes, announcement. Yes, yeah.
And I had a pair of Magics.
What were Magics? Were those Converse?
They were Converse. Yeah,
yes,
Converse
I had
made
Converse. Okay, I had
the Magics.
Were they the black, blue, and white shoe?
Mine were they were purple and yellow because of the Lakers.
Oh, he was Lakers.
At least mine were, but they did make them in different colors. They made them in red and black.
It was a high top, right?
It was a mid, and that's another reason why I liked it.
Yes,
I liked it because it was a mid. I hate high tops. I don't like my ankles being constricted. I like to be able to move them around.
Now.
And so I remember I wasn't going to go Shaq because I saw the devastation that the guys that went the route of Shaq got on them, like the teasing because you had to get it at Walmart. So then I was like, okay, well, the middle of the road is the Magic, and I think the Magic Johnson shoes were like $60, which was still a lot to pay for shoes.
Yeah.
Now I'll comfortably tell you I don't spend that much. I spent way more on shoes when I was in 6th grade because it was my parents' money than I do now on shoes. That's for damn sure. Okay.
Phone numbers are 805-543-3693. The 805 beer lines you can call or text. So my question is, depending on, everybody here is a little bit different. Jeff and I happen to be the same age, so it was all about the sneakers. But I'm sure there's some younger people out there maybe that, you had, was it Apple Watch? Something that was cool, like you were the in crowd, or was it Uggs? I remember my wife always had Uggs, and your wife's younger than you are, but you met her in college.
Yeah,
so I don't know if Uggs was something kids wore to school, but what was it that made you you had to be?
My wife got in an argument with her dad, my father-in-law, when she was a teenager, and I remember thinking, man, you are an awful person. She wanted Uggs for Christmas, and he take a look at the, like any dad would do, right? Take a look at the price Uggs and be like, "Ooh, gosh, that's kind of a lot for a boot."
Slipper.
When this other manufacturer,
slipper-looking boot.
Yeah, when this other manufacturer, I think it was called Kookaburra or something like that. They're also Australian, right? Kookaburra makes the same boot. I'll just buy her the Kookaburras. And My wife was devastated. She was breaking down, crying in tears because it wasn't Uggs. It was Kookaburra or whatever it was at the time. And she said that he was the worst father ever.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, wow, that's not the case. He is actually taking that money and setting it aside for other things that your family needed. She's like, I realize that now, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, it's just a selfish little kid who their whole life depended on what they wore to school because they wanted to be in that crowd. 805-543-3693.
Jeff and Jeremy. How pathetic can some people be?
Have you ever been stuck in traffic for like 25 minutes and then it just dissipates for no reason at all and you have that very sincere, deep moment of like, that was about f***ing nothing? How is that possible? Nothing? There's no closure. There's no reason. Nothing. That. Well, here's how it kills empathy. Have you ever been stuck in traffic for 25 minutes and then you see the worst accident you've ever seen in your life causing that traffic, and all you can say is, oh, okay, good.
Jeez. Horrible.
That's why. That's up, man. That dude's all right, though. He's walking. He'll be fine, that guy.
Dumbass of the day. 93.3 KZOZ.
Oh, this is one of those smash and grab groups. There was 4 people arrested on larceny, grand larceny, conspiracy to commit larceny, larceny with intent after they robbed a Bloomingdale's in Washington, D.C. This happened on Friday. They got away with over $4,500 in designer handbags from Bloomingdale's, which is a fancy department store, right? I mean, problem was where this Bloomingdale's was located was right next to a freeway, an interstate, and they ran out of the store. They jumped in their SUV. They took off to the interstate at 5 o'clock on Friday. 5 p.m. in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
on a main thoroughfare.
Nothing but 9 to 5 workers, government jobs, left and right. It's got to be the worst time to be on the interstate in Washington, D.C.
The cops literally just got out of their car and walked up to the SUV stuck in a traffic jam, pulled them all out and arrested them right there on the interstate.
Hey, I noticed you got a bunch of handbags in their back there. When you step out of the car? Just put it in park. It's not going to affect anything.
What a bunch of ass clowns, huh? Holy cow.
I love that. Yeah. Definitely, check the traffic. Check the traffic on the 5s or the 6s or the 7s, whatever they do in Washington, D.C.
It's got to be the worst traffic jam those 4 were ever in. I mean, we've all been in them, right? Trying to get home, trying to get the weekend on. Kids want to go see their friends. Parents are done with their work week. Or you're a criminal and the cops are right behind you. You think they would have got out and ran, but nope, they just sat there.
Sometimes on the weekends in the summertime, I'll go to get on the freeway in Paso Robles, and I get on at Spring Street. And I'm always so mad at myself when I'm not paying attention. So there's a way that when you're coming over Niblick, you can look down to the freeway and see what the traffic is like, especially on the weekends when you get the crowd coming over from Fresno and Bakersfield.
Yeah, sure.
With their toy haulers, they kind of bog things up right there, right? So I always tend to, when I'm cognizant of it, I look down the freeway and I'm like, okay, I'm going to bump up here to Vine and then bypass it all and take Vine down to, where Hampton Inn is and all that stuff. And then, or if it's bad further on down, I'll jump up to Bethel and then bypass it and go through Templeton. The worst feeling in the world is when
you forget to do that and you take that left.
I don't look. And I take the left onto Spring Street, and I get about 3 car lengths onto Spring Street, and it stops.
Oh, my God, they got a U-turn. Come on, can we get out?
I'm like looking at my rearview mirror. I'm like, can I back up? Can I back up on the shoulder? What do I do?
All right, so the 4 people who decided to rob a Bloomingdale's right at rush hour traffic in Washington, D.C., and then get on the interstate, you are Jeff and Jeremy's
Dumbass of the Day. It's Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ. Subscribe to the Jeff and Jeremy podcast now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. It's your Central Coast commute-friendly podcast.